Yo, what up, YouTube? We're doing the thing in the place again. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'll keep talking if you keep liking. Um, I brought up in my last video something that apparently has confused people, so I'd like to try to see if I can extend a hand here. But um, to be honest with you, I I personally feel like, and again, maybe it's because I'm black, or maybe it's because I don't have the fame, or maybe it's because I talk weird. Whatever it is, the ability for people to ingest points that I make is it's honestly very low due to the fact that I'm doing nothing but repeating what you should have already heard in your lifetime, just in a more empathetic way. And this brings me to the crux of what I guess most people misinterpreted. The absurd is the conversation. The absurd is the melting point for all of this. You all live in the absurd. It is not your fault. Everything that happens is a conversation. We've hit the point, honestly, and I don't mean this to be trivial towards, I guess, Americans, but yeah, you've hit the point where all the information you could ever want to know is pretty much there, on demand. You want to become a carpenter, you can figure out, at least how it's done. You can figure out how a lot of jobs are done just through, YouTube and forums and shit, getting to be a part of community. You don't gotta leave your house to be a part of shit. In theory, in practice, right? Here, though, we enter just this very weird realm. Sorry, of taking for granted that some people will weaponize the absurd to create not controversy, to create a divergence in what should be talked about. Now, I could name obviously a lot of specifics, but it's kind of the entirety if you get what I mean. Video essays are either done within in the sphere of the thoughts of the creator, or video essays are done in response to a statement. Organized original thought is kind of pointless at this stage because it would be much easier to come to conclusions when you have somebody around, i.e., a conversation. The debates that end up trickling down throughout all of the social media concepts are all based on two people with differing opinions. However, this is as much leniency as I will grant this argument. Because, and I quote, the absurd is your conversation. You do not want answers. You also do not want acceleration. While it makes for a very dry space, I'm very sorry to tell you this, but that is kind of the reason for the polarization. Is that you hold opinions sometimes that are just irrefutably wrong. And I don't mean wrong as in objectively wrong. I mean, why would you subject someone to that? It gains you nothing but contempt. Maybe I don't understand, but it feels like all the stories on the internet, it feels like all the context that you've been given about life and everything here, you would expect that, unless you were really cold-hearted or you wanted to do it for the lulz, you couldn't see the story about how oh, San Francisco's full of drug addicts and the city's ruined and da da da, and cheer that on. There'd be no point in that because the more people who end up like that, the closer it gets in separation of degrees to you. For all you know, you have a family member that you haven't really heard of in a long time who's going through that. And you are out there saying this and professing that. The odds are too crazy. The odds are way too crazy. There's no way you don't know. There's no way you can't feel this. There's no way you. Everything we talk about is based on luck of the draw. I've seen certain people in situations that have acted like this, and you may have never seen that situation at all. The absurdity is you trying to come up with a conclusion knowing that your pure emotions would obviously cloud your judgment in whatever situation is being presented to you. You cannot therefore come to conclusions such as, we should send this person back to Africa if they hate it so much. Because you invite nothing but negativity through that. You can't make that a conversation because it is absurd. The absurd is the world in which, for some reason, people like Destiny, people like Shoe on Head, these people play around with the absurdity of the world. And I can't fathom what personally within them causes them to have these that causes us to have these moments where we have to engage with the absurdity. You created the space to live like that, and now it is spilling out in ways where I can't tell if somebody's legitimately bringing to me a piece of information that they want to discuss, or if they are seeing how far down a rabbit hole I can get trapped so they can catch me in a gotcha, so they can say this leftist doesn't know anything. The moment I bring the conversation out of the absurd, which I generally do with the first words out of my mouth, it leaves you in some stunned state where for some reason you break down into just doing it more. All of y'all do this. I don't know what has to be said in which regard to how left, up, down, but it's like, I don't think it's fair for us to play around with the absurd when we know the types of people and the types of farms and the types of, like, you have this woman on this person, I should say, on Twitter getting CPS called on them for something that is human. For something that is human. You have this person, this weirdo Twitter stalker. And then the weirdo Twitter stalker gets bodied, admits it live on Twitter, and then acts like it's a W. Absurdity forces you to engage with it because the absurdity is presenting real world consequences. It is absurd that you made that phone call. It is absurd that you posted it on Twitter. It is absurd that we do shit like this all the time. But you put someone's life in danger, and now a conversation has to be had about that. But you don't want it to be too loud because then a copycat will do it. You're playing in the field of, and I'm going to keep repeating this word until we get it through our skulls. This is the absurdity. It's pointless. And if you can't escape that pointlessness to not make a, if you cannot make a distinction at any given time of how you act, I'm going to have to take all of it into account. If you slip up 5 times, get G-checked for it super hard, your community does something, you do something, you say a clip, I just heard a clip, I watch a whole thing, it's more of the same. In order for me to engage with you and your community, I'd have to pretend that what you're saying is valid enough to warrant a Why did you say that? I'm already conceding the entire conversation by even inquiring. But you're the dominant voice. You can't keep working in absurdities because you attract people who like the absurd. And then it becomes avant garde. I meant to say that because I wanted to get people angry. And I stand by it. Knowing full well you don't really, but there's no reason to back down because it's not like anybody gives a shit. Then you put three people in a Discord call, they spend hours talking, people react to it for hours, and it generates the entire space, some viewers, some watchers, some takers, some this and that. But when the streamers start breaking, like some have already, you start to notice a pattern. You start to notice that no matter what you do, no matter how you function, if you dipped your toe in the absurd, you will always exist in the absurd. If you dance in someone's shadow, you will always remain in someone's shadow. Whatever success you have gained from playing with the absurd is quite literally drying up. Twitch as a whole is drying up. And I wanted to let you know that it's your fault because you created the conversation. You could have chose not to. All I've done this entire video is critique the way you converse. No substance whatsoever towards what you say because it is absurd from jump. Why give credence? You now are going to take it personal like you think I'm calling you an idiot, like I'm talking down to you. I'm not. I play in the absurd, and it's still to this day biting me in the ass. Just smoke the weed, kids. But for some reason, you think that the fact that these people will follow you anywhere is a good sign. Can't help but think, like, if I find a weirdo repeating destiny points on a thread about trans hate, somebody's talking to somebody and somebody ain't doing the math right.